Issue number 4814 of the Iraqi Gazette was published on February 17, 2025. Quote, Law number 4 of 2025, First Amendment to the Federal General Budget Law of the Republic of Iraq for the fiscal years 2023, 2024, 2025. No. 13 of 2023. Community comment. Great news. Has the budget been given to Parliament? Passed? The 2025 budget tables have not been sent to Parliament yet. Sadani is in control of all the timing emo. Long little article packed full of information. It suggests that Iraq is fully ready to go. They got praise from the United States Treasury, U.S. Federal Reserve. They have the best accounting, consulting firms in the world working with them. Iraq has done everything they need to do. Iraq's central bank will prohibit 5 banks from conducting U.S. dollar transactions in an effort to combat money laundering, dollar smuggling and other financial violations. This decision follows meetings in Dubai between Iraqi officials and representatives from the U.S. Treasury and Federal Reserve. While the newly sanctioned banks can still operate and conduct transactions in other currencies, the inability to access U.S. dollars severely limits their international financial activities. The only fun news I saw in the Gazette was the $16 per barrel going to Kurdistan. And the budget tables are moving forward. I got a stronger feeling every day that I wake up, that a lot of the decisions of this reform are now being done by a far better leader. Normal schedule for the Gazette is Saturdays and Wednesdays. It was published in a special edition. They published amendments that were approved. It means that they agreed upon rates for Kurdistan and oil. Now we are just looking for a rate change. Central Bank announces details of its meetings with the Treasury and the Federal Reserve. Quote, Iraq depend largely on the trust of international correspondent banks in the Iraqi banking sector. We emphasize the need to ensure that the official channels of this bank are adopted to know the latest news and not to transmit incorrect news, such as some Iraqi banks being subject to international sanctions and others. As usual, almost every report coming from Iraq has a conflicting report right behind it. Trust Sadani, not sources close to the PM. Article. Central Bank of Iraq denies sanctions. Quote, the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, has denied reports that the United States has imposed sanctions on 5 Iraqi banks, emphasizing that no such measures have been officially implemented. However, the CBI has confirmed that it will ban 5 more local banks from engaging in U.S. dollar transactions. Following meetings with U.S. Treasury officials in Dubai, the CBI's denial comes amid growing speculation and conflicting reports. The President of the Republic of Iraq has signed the amendment to the budget law. It's waiting for the exposure of the exchange rate that's going to be in the Gazette. Does Iraq have a conversation with everybody before that, or at it all around the same time? It's to be determined. Obviously they haven't moved oil at $13.10. They haven't paid all the salaries at $13.10. They haven't exposed the budget. Obviously they're doing something trying to keep it contained till down to the wire. You can now clearly see that there has been massive corruption in Iraq, and with the US keeping the Iraqi dinar artificially suppressed. The new President Trump has a new policy towards Iraq, and it is beginning to take form. This recent move of stopping the physical dollar cash flow to Iraq is apparent. This was a huge move. I was told many times already by my CBI contact that this crisis is at the heart of why the CBI cannot set the in-country revaluation rate to what they need to conduct the project to delete the zeros. Reuters, oil exports from the Kurdistan region will resume next week. Oil is flowing and money is moving. Al-Nusayri, no sanctions on Iraqi banks, and false reports cause panic. Quote, Al-Nusayri criticized the unspecialized media and unspecialized analysts who published misleading information about the alleged sanctions on Iraqi banks, saying, they have been annoying citizens for 2 days with false claims that there are sanctions on 5 Iraqi banks, and that the number will reach 37 banks. They even went so far as to promote false information about the sanction of Rafidain Bank. He considered that the official source in Iraq is the Central Bank of Iraq. and our ongoing relations with the U.S. Treasury Department and the U.S. Federal Reserve. The issue of smuggling oil from the Kurdistan region remains a subject of wide controversy within political and popular circles, as it is raised from time to time, especially when discussing the annual federal budgets. Reports indicate that the regional government is exploiting financial revenues away from federal oversight, while smuggling operations continue despite the decisions of the federal court that stressed the need to subject the oil sector in the region to the authority of Baghdad. Despite these decisions, the region is accused of smuggling oil through unofficial outlets, which deprives the state of significant financial revenues, while the federal government faces international pressure, especially from the United States, to approve additional financial commitments in favor of the region, even if they conflict with Iraqi laws. These pressures contributed to the passage of new financial allocations to the regional government within the budget, despite its failure to commit to handing over oil revenues to Baghdad. Calls for urgent action in this context. Al-Fatah Alliance member Ali Al-Fatlawi confirmed that oil smuggling operations by the Kurdistan region are still ongoing without any accountability, calling on the federal government to urgently intervene to end this file that is draining the national wealth. Al-Fatlawi said in a statement to Al-Maluma agency, "Smuggled oil is a national wealth that belongs to all Iraqis, and is not limited to the region." He pointed out that the region continues its smuggling operations, and at the same time demands money from Baghdad without paying its due financial obligations. He stressed the need to take firm measures to put an end to this breach, which represents a clear plundering of the country's resources. Calling on the government to intensify its efforts and pressure to stop the smuggling operations that are taking place without any oversight or legal accountability. Approval of the oil and gas law, the decisive solution. For his part, the head of the Generations Parliamentary Bloc, MP Mohammed Al-Sayhoud, called on the political forces to give priority to approving the oil and gas law, stressing that the problem between the federal government and the region was resolved after amending paragraph 12 of the federal budget law, which opens the way for the legislation of the awaited law. Al-Sayhoud said in a statement to Al-Maluma agency, "The smuggling of oil from the region has negative repercussions on the Iraqi economy and the state's financial resources. Considering that, the best solution to stop these operations lies in enacting the oil and gas law." He added that the recent understandings between the federal government and the regional government regarding calculating the cost of producing and exporting the region's oil pave the way for political forces to include the oil and gas law on the agenda